You in this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so I hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this won't be a piece of cake. Put your face.
Okay, in 5, 4, 3, 2. Folks, welcome to the Before Hours podcast, an internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person. I ask the most interesting people I know about their sleep, their routine, life, love, stress, setbacks, and whatever else comes to mind. If you want to talk to me, you may do so. Slide in my DMs on Instagram at BobbySheenLOL, or you could email us at thebeforehourspodcast@gmail.com. But for now, I'm going to welcome to the podcast a good friend, a hilarious comedian, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, a good man, Natan Badalov. How are you doing, Natan?
What up?
We're here, dude.
How are you, man? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. By the way, for those just listening or watching on YouTube, we ate some pre-show carrots. So I feel like we have the vitamin A and we're ready to roll.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm not a morning person, so this is why we're getting right into it.
Folks, we're getting right into it. Sometimes it's actually a recurring theme on the podcast that the guest reminds me what the premise of the podcast is, because I get so excited talking about where we were talking about, and then I'll be like, "Well, we have to do plugs," and they're like, "I didn't get to say."
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
So you're not a morning person.
By the book. I'm sorry if you wanted to talk about some other stuff.
We're both people of the book, Natan. It's all good.
I don't know, man. I got a free flow, you know.
I feel like we're free balling.
Yeah,
free falling.
We can do that too, man.
So, are you a morning person?
No, not at all, man. I don't want to talk to anyone when I'm in the morning.
Okay. Now we're recording at 2 p.m. Are we sufficiently?
So it's a bit better now.
Okay.
That's why I remember when you asked to do this, I tried to pick like a reasonable time, but also after my whole, I don't want to, you know what I mean? Like when you wake up, you kind of got to like reboot everything, and then you got to think about what you got to do, you know, errands, all that shit. I don't know.
I've had this new thing in my life where, for example, if I have something that I know I can't forget.
Yeah.
Which is mostly, honestly, recording this podcast.
Yeah.
Because anything else I have scheduled takes place when it's dark outside. And even I don't live in such chaos that I'll forget that I have to do something at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
But like today I woke up at 9:45, but I had a reminder on my phone for 9:40 podcast with Natan. So the first thing I see when I take up my phone is podcast with Natan. And here I am.
And you did it.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
2 p.m. I think is the best time to record. It's when I record most of the podcast because you can't really do it at night because we're comedians.
Yes.
But also, for a little while, I was asking guests if they could record at 11 a.m. And almost every person, not even like, oh, that day is not really good for me. Just straight up, there's under no circumstances will I start podcasting at 11 a.m.
Yeah, man. They got to, I don't know, recover from last night, whatever the fuck they were doing. Can we can curse on this, right?
You can curse. In fact, it's encouraged.
Fuck.
So if you don't curse, we actually add in curses afterwards. So if you...
fuck.
Yeah, dude. It is funny that like, because I do put clips out of the podcast and I do the whole fucking cringy thing of the little asterisk and the naughty words.
Do that?
I feel like I have to.
Oh, okay.
Do you not do that?
Maybe that explains why my videos are kind of tanking, because I don't ever like shit, fuck, whatever. I just type out the whole word. I remember one time I had a joke where I mentioned the word weed, and then someone told, that was when it first was starting, where they said you can't type out the thing. You have to do W33D instead of weed. And you kind of go, there's a lot of tits and ass on this app. And yet I can't type out curse words, but I don't get it. But it seems like everybody's doing that now. Like even bigger comics are doing that now. Yeah. It's kind of weird. Like they're just abiding by the rules. I thought comedians were like rule breakers. Yet we're the most, okay, what do we do now to get the views? I'm trying to get which I understand. Just trying to make a living. I'm
very new to even thinking about filling seats. Like literally within like the last year. I'd be like, okay, how do I make money from doing this? Because when I first started, you and I are like from the same class, basically. So like when we started, well, tell me if you agree with this. My thing was like, just be like, you're not, I mean, I'm naturally funny, but I'm not funny on stage yet. Get funny on stage and then everything else will follow. And then in the last year, I was like, all right, well, I don't have a lot of money and I would like to have some. You know what I mean?
I remember I think you were one of the first people I spoke to like in comedy, because I remember I don't know if you remember this, and you had a very positive attitude. And I think to a certain extent you still do, which is which is good, because to have it throughout this whole time is very difficult, especially, continuing to do comedy and stuff. But I remember we were at a New York comedy club. You don't remember this, right?
I may or may not.
No, it was like one of those, it was like a mic where they give you like feedback or something at the end of it. But I remember you recorded your set on your phone. And I remember asking you, like, don't you get nervous? This is such a stupid question. Don't you get nervous recording your set and then listening back to it? And then you just went, yeah, you just get used to it, And that was it. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I should do it then. I don't know why I remember that, but that was my first memory of you, where you were just being positive, because it was very rare at the time. I don't know if you experienced this, but in my opinion, before the pandemic, comedy in New York was very competitive, a lot more than now, because social media wasn't as big a thing. So everybody felt like, okay, every set mattered, just even at an open mic, which is not good.
Yeah.
Like, this is supposed to be a place where you try shit out and all this other stuff. It's not conducive to creativity, but it was very competitive at the time. And yeah, you're right. It was about like being funny and just getting the laughs and all this other stuff. But did you feel that way?
I felt that way. And you mentioned that it was pre-COVID.
Yes.
I do think there's something to the fact that a lot of people quit during or after COVID.
Yeah.
And the new class of comics, and I've complained about them.
To who? HR?
Yes.
To comedy HR. We will look into this.
Yeah, I wish I was comedy HR. I would probably get close to $1,000 back. But
yeah. I would too.
Yeah. But a compliment for the new class is that they are less competitive. It seems to be less of a scene and more of a community, if that makes sense.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, like there's even a sense of like, hey, that guy comes here all the time, and even though he's not necessarily the funniest person that ever existed or someone that could help me in my career ever, I should be nice to him, like say hi and
stuff. Really? You see that?
Yeah.
Really?
I do.
Wow, that's
more
good.
so than I did when I first started. We started in there was this place in the East Village, and it's pronounced in a variety of ways, but Climate Lounge.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember there were comics there that literally I would be like, hey, nice to meet you. And they would look at me like, don't you know I'm famous? And the thing is that they weren't famous.
They're not famous. They're at Climate.
Yeah.
Nobody famous comes here. That's ridiculous. I didn't know that. Wow, that's terrible.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is cringy, by the way, to listen to your own set back.
Yeah.
But it's like anything else, it just gets easier as you do it.
But what's funny is that now everybody's video recording their sets, because back in I guess they still did then, but it would just be like such a, the thing with the cameras and all this, you got to get a camera and all this other shit. And now everybody has a 4K camera on their phone. And everybody's posting their crowd work clips and their bar shows and stuff like that.
Which seems stressful. I feel like I'm lucky in the sense that I just accepted, that I was here for the long haul. Like, no one's going to know who I am for literal years.
Yeah.
Which is great, because feeling the opposite way puts a lot of pressure on yourself.
Yes. You're going to, what's that guy's name? The popular, Matt Rife. Like, he got popular so fast. And I was talking with someone recently, I'm like, not that he can't bomb, but it'll be hard for him to actually know what joke works now. Yeah. Because they'll just be like, hell yeah, good point, or whatever. They'll just laugh. He'll be able to tour. You're kind of fucked in that way. So that's like the flip coin of that. But yeah, that is a good mentality to have, where you're like, I'm in this for the long haul. I might not be in every club, in or out or here or there.
Most of them.
Or most of them. But it's like, that's not what we're doing it for, right? So it's a good mentality to have. I have to keep reminding myself of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have that, but you are positive, so I don't know if you have to keep on. Do you have like things that you do to keep yourself in a positive mindset? Not drugs.
I don't do drugs.
Okay.
In fact, that helps, I think, because
Yeah.
I quit. I wasn't a big drug guy, but I quit drinking before I did comedy.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a tremendous thing, because if I drank while I did comedy,
It would have been, yeah.
I would have burned some bridges.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been, because I would have been like a crazy person, like I
Right,
was when I
right,
drank.
Right.
And yeah, I don't know. I've been doing, this sounds pretentious because it is. But there's this idea in Stoicism called what's it called? Negative visualization. I'm going to say that again because I stumbled through it. Negative visualization.
Yeah.
I struggle with multisyllabic words at the time.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic?
I struggle with it. You say it perfectly. Yeah.
And it's the idea of, okay, imagine you had cancer.
Yeah.
Have you ever had cancer?
No.
We know each other pretty well. It'd be amazing if I didn't know that.
I would
about you.
post it on Instagram to get the likes.
Exactly, dude.
Hey, pity book me or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it worked for Tig Notaro.
Oh, yeah.
And then she was in remission and didn't die. It was like the best of both worlds.
Remember Quincy Jones? Remember that guy?
Yeah.
He's still alive.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. He got a HBO special. I don't know. And I saw him at a mic or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was surprised.
I don't know if I'm familiar with any of his material.
I'm not gonna say anymore, but it just reminded me of that. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy.
So the negative visualization, it's like, imagine you have cancer. That moment you were handed that diagnosis, the only thing you would care about is not having cancer. Like all of the other quote unquote problems in your life would like go away. And if the doctor said, oops, actually you don't, this weight would be lifted off of your shoulders.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you don't have cancer now. You know what I mean? It sounds weird, but like my life isn't perfect, but it could be so much worse.
Oh, you mean, okay. Glass half full, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, cause you know what part of it, Natan, is like, I just have like positive affectation. Like I smile but I mean that's not necessarily an indication that like everything's hunky dory.
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like, and I think cause I was raised this way and my mom is like this, but, like you owe the world's positive vibes. I could be sad when I'm alone in my room. You know what I mean?
Isn't that very people pleasing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. But it's also a thing of like, I'm not exhausted by it. I think some people, especially if you're going like through a depressive episode, you're like exhausted by even just like a firm handshake and a smile. You know what I mean? But like, I'm not. And in fact, like the times in my life where like, I don't know, I go to Chipotle and I'm not like as pleasant as I could be.
Yeah.
I walk away holding my food being like, oh, why did I do that? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Because it doesn't make you feel any. It's either neutral to not be pleasant, or it has a
negative.
It has a negative. Yeah, it could lead to people pleasing, and I think when I was younger, I had a people pleasing streak, and that gets beat out of you when you do. Well, when you get older in general, but when you do comedy, because then you'll just keep doing People's Bringer shows and.
Oh yeah.
You know what I won't do? Tell me if this makes me an asshole.
What?
If a new comedian is at an open mic and right before they go on stage, they go to me, can you hold this phone and record my set for 5 minutes? I shake my head no.
That's tough.
I smile. I smile and I go, no, man, can't. Sorry.
But yeah, it's tough. I understand both sides. I understand. I guess I would do it if it was like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
If it was 3 minutes, I'd be like, all right, I'll hold it. But would you stay?
Oh, I've watched
actually, what happens when you say no?
And
then he goes,
I think
I gotta go?
Yeah, I think if memory serves, one time someone got like a little annoyed. But all the other times
they understood.
Yeah, there's like this deference of like, especially because if they have any modicum of like self-awareness, they'd be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't ask random people to film my set. Now it's sort of like, get a tripod, man, or like lean it against the wall, you know?
My answer will make me sound like a father. I'll be like, don't you take this seriously? Like, why are you asking other people for this? Like, you should invest in your dream.
Yeah.
Like, buy your shit.
Also, you don't have to film your first set. You don't. It's not going to be good.
The first.
Yeah.
Oh God. No, that's tough. But then you know exactly why that person's making all these mistakes.
Yeah.
They don't know what the fuck is going on. Sometimes they talk during people's sets and stuff. That's always funny when a person's first time, they're an asshole in the audience.
Yeah.
And then once that person goes up, they completely lose any sense of like goodwill. Like when you say it's my first time and everybody does that, but they're an asshole. So it's like, it's my first time and then nobody will applaud after. Like, you fucked yourself, man.
And when they run the light.
Oh, well, that happens.
So running the light means the host will show you a light on their cell phone. It means you have a minute to wrap up whatever you're talking about, because all the sets are timed, because otherwise we would all go on forever, right?
Yeah.
And so a new comic, even if they understand the light, like if a good host will explain what the light is, but they'll feel like, and I almost get it, because a lot of people, their first time doing comedy, they are literally the funniest person in their family or their friend group, but they're just like another person at the open mic. You know what I mean?
I mean, everybody's, to a certain extent, I can't say everybody, but a lot of people at every mic in New York is funny. I mean, that seems to be like the biggest issue with every comic, is like trying to get stage time. And it's not because you can't say these people are or aren't funny. It's like there's a lot of funny people out there. Yeah. I can't name one or two that I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? But there's a lot more. Like 80% of the lineups, they're like, okay, you are a funny person, you know? So it's like, what makes you stand out in a way?
The person that's been doing it for years, I'm not talking about a specific person, the archetype of someone that's just like years without just it work. And it's so strange to me, because the feedback of bad comedy or good comedy is immediate, because it's the laughs or lack thereof.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know. I think the legend of like grind it out for years is almost exaggerated. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, within a few months, people should be laughing at some of the things you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, I remember bombing for a while. I bombed for a decent amount of time. Yeah. But then I remember, it has to do sort of what you were talking about with just acceptance, where I just felt like after a certain point of it hurting me that I was bombing so much, I just thought, all right, my logic was always, okay, if you don't quit now, you will be further than the people that quit at this level. So just keep going and you will figure it out. Because, and then this was my other logic. Well, I went, people dumber than me have figured this out. I know that's a weird way to think about it. But I go like, a lot of people here are fucking stupid. They figured this out. This just takes time. And then once you just got to keep doing it. But you're right. That whole like what was it? I remember back in the day, they would be like, you got to go up 3 times a night for 6 days, 7 days, which is, I guess, like 20 something times. Yeah. Right. And no, you bomb your ass off. It's like a bomb tour every fucking day, everywhere you go. No, that's not true at all.
It's interesting. When I did that, I tried to do as many mics as possible, but I also, for like a few months, stayed to the end of an open mic. Oh, no. Because I'm like, support. I'm fucking new. Oh, yeah. And I, eventually I'm like, okay, that's maybe it's not 100% necessary. But okay, so I complimented the new class of comedians. Yes. Now I'm going to be a little negative on them. Yeah. Well, because I think there's more people listening to podcasts about doing stand up. Yeah. And so that ethos of like, you got to grind is like, there's nothing more. I almost said there's nothing more infuriating, and that's not true. There's there's war, there's famine. Yes. But when I watch someone that's like very bad, like standing behind the mic stand, shaking while holding a piece of paper, telling middle school street jokes. Oh, you know what I mean?
You've seen this? How often have you seen this?
Sometimes.
Really?
And okay. And then like, obviously there's a spectrum, of new and bad, but like they'll do that. And then right after their set, they put on their backpack and get out. And I'm like, I wish I had at least known. I would have taken I almost said cigarette break, but I would have
taken a shit.
I would have taken a shit or something. Some fresh air,
Yeah, those are, I don't know. It's I don't know what, if you start now, I don't know what the priorities are, because sometimes I think, social media was around, but it wasn't as prevalent, right?
Natan and I are old enough that when we started comedy,
Yeah, we sound really old. But we didn't. Yeah, Facebook was a big thing. We sound like we've been doing it for like decades.
Yeah.
But no, but it wasn't. But really, it was like, I think the pandemic really kicked it in, where they were like TikTok, Instagram, all this other stuff. And now everybody's their own brand. It's like, why the fuck are you worrying about that like a year or two in?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
the Matt Rife model is there.
I think that's what everybody's trying to do.
And like guys that are as handsome as like him or me, like, we're very conscious that it could blow up just because of how beautiful our faces are.
Yeah,
how lustful we are
Yes.
towards members of the opposite sex. But like, I'm a comedian first and foremost.
Yeah. He went for the money. You went for the art.
I went for the art. Yeah.
You could be just posting pictures of your face.
I could.
And your fucking jawline.
Okay, so people say that he has a jaw implant, and I think he does.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Like, who gives a fuck?
No, you're right. I just became part of the problem.
No, but I don't mean in that way. I mean, like, imagine hearing any comedian that you like. Nobody ever said, "Yo, you heard that new Matt Rife joke?" No one is saying that. Everybody's like, "Yo, you see his fucking chin?
Yeah.
You see that shit?" Imagine if Carlin or Pryor is like, "Hey, you see Carlin's fucking new nose job?" No one gives a fuck. No one cares about how they look like.
Yeah.
Chappelle, any of the good comedians, like some of these people are really ugly.
Yeah.
A lot of the good comedians, fucking disgusting looking people. But everybody accepts who they look like. There's a weird thing I noticed recently where it's like this obsession with a lot of good looking people doing comedy. It's kind of, I don't know, it's weird to me. I go, why do you need this?
Yeah.
Not just that, but I'm going like, there's been this obsession just with beautiful people being talented as well. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I see on TikTok, like I play guitar sometimes, and there's like, on my feed, I kind of see like, nice riffs and shit like that. But I just noticed there's like a lot of big tittied women like laying their tits on the guitar. And they're just playing the guitar. It's like, no one's listening.
Yeah.
Everybody's looking at your tits.
Yeah.
But it's a common thing with comedy, the saxophone. I saw a few things. I don't know. Have you noticed this?
I have no. Well, I do. For my own sake, keep my Instagram feed not horny.
How do you do that?
So
Dogs.
I pretty much like comedy stuff, workout stuff, hip hop stuff.
No.
So like if you go to my dude, Instagram will just show me a picture of Eminem from 2005.
Just going like that.
Yeah, just like never give up or whatever, and it's just like a picture of him in during his do-rag phase for some reason.
Early 2000s.
But because when you go to like someone's search feed, because it used to happen to me. You go on my search feed and it just looks like it's pornography.
Right.
I mean, it's not officially pornography, but it's basically pornography.
Instagram pornography.
And I'm like, I don't want this. So I'm jacking off, folks. Don't worry. But because I use like Instagram, I have to use for like work, as weird as that sounds to say,
okay.
So I mean, for comedy, so like for my search thing, whenever I see tits, I click the I don't want to see this button.
Oh.
And the algorithm has figured out
that you don't like tits.
That I'm gay.
It's like, all right, here's cock.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
I mean, the workout videos, it is.
Oh, yeah.
That is a theory. If you saw my phone, you'd be like, this guy is a gay hip hop fan.
It's like seeing men doing squats.
Yeah.
But that is I don't know. I don't know what, I guess, because it used to be where like, comedy was for like misfits and stuff like that, and now you would hear like people talk about fucking all the time.
Yeah,
and like I don't know. I guess hot people need to laugh too. I guess I'm judging them for that.
Yeah, there is a sort of there is a thing if and I'm speaking in like in generalities here, but like a white comic does good in a white room. A black comic does good in a black room.
Okay.
Not, but like that's Like if you have a show where where the audience is black, you should have multiple black comics. Not saying you can't have a white comic.
So you're saying it would like just so they can speak?
Yeah, just so like, okay. That's why like ultimately that's I think why people strive for a diverse comedy lineup for two reasons. One, so they don't get in trouble.
Right.
But two, so literally like as much as possible, everyone feels like at least one person that represented them was on stage. And I do get that because if you're a woman and you go to a comedy show and it's 5 guys talking about their dicks, I do understand. I mean, that could be funny, but you could be like, it would have been nice for someone to talk about my experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what hot people need. Representation.
Hot people need representation.
That's their main problem in life.
I will say, I think to the Matt Rifes of the world, like you can't be too handsome to do comedy as a man now. I will say, if you're a woman who's attractive, that can almost be detrimental.
Why?
I read this study, didn't talk about being funny, but it talked about how intelligent people perceived you. And there's a correlate with men. The graph just goes up. So the ugliest men are seen as unintelligent and the most attractive men are seen as intelligent. And for women, it's true up until a point.
And then it just goes down.
And then it's like, nah, I'm not listening about science from this bimbo. Like that's what some people's brains do. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but I know a few women comedians, and no, I will not say their names, but they have big titties and they hide them. So that people will listen to the things that they say on stage.
I heard a female comic tell me that, and she's attractive, and she would tell me that she doesn't like, she does shows, but she doesn't like going to mics because she gets these compliments for jokes where they either didn't work or something, and then she's like, I don't know what these people's intentions are, so it's like it gives me false hope for me saying, which that I completely understand. I'm like, oh, you don't know, because you don't know if they're trying to fuck you, if they're just saying, hey, that joke that you said bombed, that was great, that was amazing, and then you kind of just, you don't know. So that I understand. And also the online stuff, I haven't seen anyone get more hate for like a type of comic than a female comic. I've seen them get the kinds of comments I've seen them get. I go, this has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that you're a woman. Which I've gotten comments like with being Jewish, but never to the amount as a woman has, where it's like, don't talk, shut up, you're not funny, whatever, like stuff like that. It's like hundreds. Some of them just hate watch it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What a weird person to be that is. To
those incels or something.
Yeah. Just fucking, because it's like, this woman who wouldn't fuck me isn't funny.
Yeah. It's like, they're probably not even in the same state. I don't even know. It's a weird state of mind. It's like, I guess I am criticizing it, but I am also empathizing with it. So,
well, I had a conversation after a show one time with an audience member, and she's a woman, and she's young, attractive, and you know what it was is I started the conversation by being like, I'm trying to figure out social media because I'm a comedian, so I'm reluctantly learning how social media works.
Yeah.
Because at this point, if you're a comic that's like, I don't really fuck with Instagram, it's like that's like saying you don't have an email address.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So
part of the job.
I'm telling her that, and she goes, "Yeah, I used to be like influencer status TikTok."
Wow.
And I was like, "Used to?" And she's like, "Yeah, I was like making money from it and shit. Like hundreds of thousands of people watching. It's crazy shit." And she had big tits.
Yeah.
And she was like, I know, and I've always known, because she would just like make like funny videos talking about her day or whatever, like low effort, but she'd always have her cleavage in the shot. And she's like, I knew, and I've always known that it was people looking at my tits, but I was like, whatever, maybe people come for the tits, stay for the content.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I always felt kind of weird about that. And then I guess you could see the analytics, and she's like, the vast majority of it was all men.
Yeah.
And then the vast majority under 18. And she's like, that made me feel so fucking weird, as it should.
Yeah. And then after that, she stopped.
I guess so, yeah.
This is a comic?
No, an audience member. Yeah, her thing was like, she used TikTok like vlogging basically. And I guess either started with the tits or eventually found out that the tits were helpful, you know?
Just found out tits were helpful. There's no way. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think if you have tits, you know they fucking help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to say that that's deserved, anything that happened. I'm just saying, you know, like a fucking magnet for creeps.
It's like, you know, I think men and women have, here's the difference between men and women.
Hell yeah. Cats and dogs.
I think we have problems that are unique and that a lot of the times we have trouble empathizing with the other side's problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to do it more. I think this applies to everyone where instinctually you will always just go, well, what about me? That's just a natural thing. But I think if you keep training your brain to go, well, this isn't comparative. Like my struggles are not your struggles.
Yeah.
And so it's very hard to do. I used to get, you knew me before, I used to get upset whenever I would hear female comics talk shit about men. And I would take that personally because I would be like, in the beginning of me doing stand-up, I'm like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything to you. Why are you talking about me? And then I realized later on where I'm like, this has nothing to do with me. This is their experience. And this, whatever happened to them resulted in them talking like this or whatever. Just in the same way of me talking about certain things as well. But it's very Zen-like way of trying to figure it out, but I don't know.
And you could empathize with someone without agreeing with them. Like you could say, you're like, oh, here's how they came to that conclusion. And I still think the conclusion is wrong, you know?
Yes, which is the majority of what these bits are, where I think it's also, I would rather you tell me like what led you to think that. Like, don't tell me like, oh, men are too this. So I remember there was this one comic, she's like, men cheat more. And I'm like, what fucking stat thing did you do to figure out that men are fucking almost half the world? What are you talking about? Yeah. And she's like, yeah, but in experience, you know. I'm like, okay, that means you got cheated on, and that means you're fucking men.
Who only has relationships with men.
And they cheat on you. Why don't you talk about what you went through? Go deeper, and then just make this blanket generalization. You know what I mean? But I didn't say all that because I'm like, just think the way you think.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know. I'm trying to be more. I can't not be judgmental. I am judgmental, but I'm trying to not let it out as much because I don't feel like that's it's not helpful to other people because I don't feel like anything changes in that way.
Yeah.
I can be judgmental all fucking day, but the world won't ever change. You just kind of gotta keep it moving. It's not healthy, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. I think especially when you're watching someone try material, you got to take all of that with a grain of salt.
Yes.
I can think of a few comedians that I think like legitimately do have problems with men or women or, you know, X identity. And that's, you know, I just kind of stay away from.
Well, I mean, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
It has to do with their journey and their life, which there was a guy that started talking shit about Uzbekistan, which is where because he said he dated a girl from Uzbekistan and she ended up hitting him. And she's like, yeah, fuck everyone from Uzbekistan. And I followed him. And I go, yeah, I'm from Uzbekistan. And then he went, oh shit. Like as if he was going to get in trouble. I'm like, don't worry, I'm not your fucking girlfriend. I'm not going to hit you. It's fine. But yeah, that's like, you got to like separate that.
Yeah.
This is not a very, I'm sorry, I'm not being as funny, I think, as I don't know what
we find the laughter along the way.
Okay.
This is
as long as it's interesting.
As long as it's interesting, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I think another funny thing about comedy is like you do in some respects have to speak in hyperbole. So that's another avenue for like misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Is if like like if you do a bit where you're like, women are fucking boring, you know, like women are boring. Do I really feel that? Do I think all women are boring?
Yes.
I do, but like,
nice.
you know,
You gotta stick true to your voice. Yeah.
So, you mentioned you're from Uzbekistan.
Yeah.
So, for those that don't know, Uzbekistan is in Central Asia.
Hell yeah.
It used to be part of the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
And you were born in 91, I'm going to say.
Wow. How'd you know that?
I
have that face. A 30-year-old.
I think I've always known that you're younger than me.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, 91.
Yeah.
You were born in the Soviet Union.
The day I was born, the Soviet Union collapsed.
December 26th?
25th.
Oh, I don't know why it was 26th. Oh, you were born on Christmas.
Yeah.
But you're Jewish, so it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, you're right. I'm the second coming. Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
My ex was Jewish. She probably still is.
I think she is.
And
she got circumcised, right?
Yeah. And someone in her family was born on December 25th.
Yeah.
And her name is Carol.
Okay.
And so every person in her life goes, "Oh, you're a Christmas Carol."
Oh fuck.
Yeah, doesn't that suck so bad? That's like when someone. I always am conscious whenever
So
someone
stupid.
like I think of like a joke about someone's name.
Christmas Carol.
No, it sucks, dude.
I would have just got to fuck you. I would have just started to say that. Really? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Stop telling me that. If anything, I would be like, you're a fucking. I would have just said something so stupid just to get them away from me. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're a Christmas Carol. Well, you're a bitch. All
yeah.
right, get the fuck away from me.
Yeah. Well, I fucked your mother. How about that?
Is she an angry person?
No.
Carol?
No.
Damn, that's not fun.
Yeah.
That's not fun at all. Oh, thank you. It's not fun.
I think it's just one of the. I mean, when people ask me if I have a soul. Oh, imagine if I got mad every time someone did that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Do people still do that? That was like 20 years ago.
It's you know
a YouTube video of that fat guy.
And it actually even
in the South Park.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. The funniest thing about because South Park gave birth to the word ginger. That's a British and that's a British slang term. And South Park brought it into American culture. But the whole fucking point of the episode was that redheads, it was an allegory for people that are discriminated against.
Yes.
Like Cartman hates gingers.
Yes.
And it's supposed to be like, but then the point of the episode is then Cartman becomes ginger.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm actually a ginger supremacist.
Yeah.
So to me, the whole point of the thing is like people who have hate in their heart. It's not a true ideology. It's just like an extension of their narcissism.
Well, yeah, that's all. That's all of it. That's all hate. Where they just go like, oh, they said that, so I can. Nobody. What you just did. Nobody does that. Like thinks or like actually like looks into what the fuck.
Yeah. I think so. I was in middle school when that episode came out. So of course, like, you know, no one picked up on the subtext. They were like, gingers don't have souls.
Borat came out in 2006. That was an incredible like commentary, like the way he got the character to like for people to be so casual with their anti-Semitism. You think everybody got that shit when they watched that? They were like, Yag Shamash, Jews are this, Jews are that, not knowing that his name is his last name is Cohen, you know, and that he's a Jew. And that Borat was speaking Hebrew. Like nobody was understanding any of that, but people were just constantly going for it. But what are you gonna do? Yeah,
that's a nice little Easter egg if you speak Hebrew.
Yeah.
Or understand Hebrew. Yeah. You're like, that's a great bit. Because he's literally saying anti-Semitic things in Hebrew.
He was speaking to his Azamat. He was speaking to him in Hebrew. And he's like, oh, throw the Jew. Oh, that's shit. It was, but yeah.
But most people can understand. Hebrew sounds like a lot like Arabic.
Yes.
So to me, I'm like, oh, okay, it's just a non-English language.
That's what it's like English and then everything else.
Yes,
like
English
a true
and
American.
Others. Yes.
Hell yeah, red, blue, white.
And people that watch red, white, and blue, baby.
Yeah.
Woo! So people that
I'm
it's interesting you brought up Uzbekistan because that's aside from the Jews, it's the adversary that Borat has. So there are some people out there that only know Uzbekistan from that movie, and quote that they have a bone in their brain.
Oh, yeah.
Can you confirm, is that true about people from Uzbekistan?
That they have a bone in their brain? Is that in the movie?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's not an idea I just came up with.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Borat's like, they're very nosy. He says they're very nosy people with a bone in their brain.
That's so specific that you know that. I don't even remember that. I saw that movie like 3 times.
I think Sacha Baron Cohen's a genius. Everything he does is amazing.
Even Bruno, you like that? Was too gay for me. That was mad gay. When the dick started talking, I thought this is too much, man. You're genius. You could have thought of some better way to make this gay.
But I mean, the balls of him to be in a room full of black people and say that as a gay man, he adopted a black baby and gave him a traditional African name, OJ.
Yeah.
How does he fucking...
I mean, I'm sure he has writers.
No, but like the fucking balls to do it.
Yeah. I think he just says like a death wish of some sort. Not a death wish, but I think he's just like, this is what I do. This is his version of comedy. Yeah. Like Jackass, like those people that are just still eat an omelet out of their own vomit or something like that. Like, I think they come from the same ilk, except Sasha, smart enough to make a storyline out of it, whereas the Jackass people will just punch you in the balls and go, it's fucking crazy.
I always think of like, you know how Shakespeare would make like very smart jokes, but also like poop and fart stuff.
Yes.
So I think of Sacha Baron Cohen as like that way. Yeah. Whereas like Jackass they're like, why don't we just do the poop and fart stuff? You know? And
those are they have equal artistic merit.
Arguably, I would say that Johnny Knoxville's network is probably higher than Sacha Baron Cohen's.
Is
it? I would think. Jamie, can we look that up?
Jamie put oh shit. Yeah.
So you said
Uzbekistan. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say. So you spent a few hours in the Soviet Union. How was it?
I still have the chisel. What chisel? What is chisel?
Oh, hammer and sickle.
Sickle. Yeah. Fuck, I keep saying chisel. Sickle and hammer, passport, and all that other shit. But it's irrelevant. You know, it says Jew on my passport.
So do you know Boris Haken?
Yeah, he's Ukrainian.
Yeah, he's Ukrainian, also Jewish, and he has the same thing.
Sickle. Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Because to me, it's like the idea that they would put your ethnicity on a government document.
No, it's only Jew. That's the only one.
Oh my God.
It's crazy though. Because sometimes you read about it and you're like, what the fuck? And then you see it and then you go, oh, this happened to me. But my mom, you know, it's interesting. I try to talk about this on stage. I don't know how to make it funny, but my mom doesn't like when I say I'm from Uzbekistan because she goes like, you came here when you were 1. You're a fucking American. Stop telling people you're from Uzbekistan. To a certain extent, she's right, where I'm like, I don't think the same way. I think like an American. Right? Like my experiences are American. My face and everything else, you know, like my lineage and all this other shit, it's elsewhere. But that's for a solo show, all right? With the theater goes down, you know, the lights go down and I start crying and shit like that. I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and then I assume that her time in Uzbekistan was unpleasant.
It wasn't the best, but I guess it's like the same thing with anybody's childhood. You just make the best out of it and you kind of don't really know anything else, you know? That's probably what's bad about growing up like nowadays with social media and stuff is like, you know that everywhere else is better than where you're living. You know what I mean? Like if you live in a shit place, you're like fucking New York, whatever. But back in the day, you just had like a TV, 2 channels, and like Mean Streets was your only representation of New York. And you're like, well, I'm in a shit place, but that shit sucks too. You know what I mean? Like Taxi Driver. You're like, this is fucking garbage. So we're all good, you know? I don't know. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yeah. You have like less, what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yes.
So something like that.
Your parents are from here?
Yeah.
From the States?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you just straight up American.
Straight up American. That's what it says on my government documents.
Straight up American.
Straight up American. Yeah, I know my dad's my great grandfather on my dad's side came from Ireland.
Oh, nice.
Like after the Civil War. After the American Civil War, and then my mom's family goes back like further than that, but also from Ireland. As far as I know, 100% Irish.
I met almost every Irish person I met was a very funny person. They're very funny people, Irish people.
Huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're somebody they used to call them the black people of Europe.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious, but
that is we're so white that we're black again.
Yes,
Isn't that crazy?
Yes. They're very funny people. Have you ever been to Ireland?
No, I don't.
You would fit right in.
Oh yeah.
All that, yeah, it'd be great.
I think until they heard me speak, I think.
Yeah, but then they're like, "Oh fuck, mate," and then they just bring you back in.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did this joke when I was because I spent a couple weeks in London, and the joke I would do there is people here assume I'm Irish.
Yes.
Until I open my mouth.
Yeah.
And then they think, "Oh no, it's even worse."
They have. When were you in London?
This was last April. I was opening for Ben Miller. He was doing stand-up science, and he was nice enough to have me open for him.
Nice. Ben Miller, very funny.
Yeah, he rules, dude.
Skinny motherfucker. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm skinny too, so it makes sense.
Nah, but fucking... I'm just going to shit on Ben Miller. Yeah. Your fucking body, bro. No, he's very funny comedian. Very smart, too.
Yeah, and the three of us have something in common in that we're working on a solo show.
Yeah, and did you plug your thing before?
I have,
Abe Lincoln? It was great. I saw it.
You were there.
Good.
I appreciate it,
It's
man.
a good show. I don't know why I'm doing this. As if you're going to move somewhere. You're right there. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot.
And you have a show. Are you still running Connect the Dots? Connecting the Dots?
Connect the Dots.
Okay.
No, I didn't run it again. It felt like it was just a thing I just needed to write to get it out of my system.
Okay.
It had a lot to do with like identity and all this other shit, like about being Jewish and not. And I feel like I want to start talking about other things as well.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah, I get that. I get that impulse.
Of course, if I get the money to do it again, I'll do it again. But to do it just to do it, it doesn't seem like it's conducive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like then it feels like a job where you kind of, you want to see what else you have, you know? I don't like the idea of, there's a personal gripe with me when I see comedians do jokes that I've heard maybe 2-3 years ago. And I just thought, I don't want to do that. Because then you're kind of like stunting yourself. You're like, don't you have more to offer in your brain? Also, our favorite comedians would never rest on their laurels. Like, Billboard would always come out with new stuff. Carlin, I mean, how many fucking specials? 13 specials. Like, if they're the best and they continued writing, then who am I to sit on, an hour of material? It's just material. But are you still working on the Abe Lincoln? Are you taking it to Edinburgh?
Yeah, it's hopefully if they accept me, I'll hear back. Actually, by the time this comes out, I should probably know or not.
Yeah.
But the half hour I ran in November, like the reason I ran that and filmed it was to submit it to Edinburgh. So nice. I don't even actually have the hour written yet.
The one at QED?
Yeah, I did a half hour.
I thought it felt like more.
It was a half hour.
Really?
Yeah. 31 minutes actually.
With the slides and everything? Wow.
I mean, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. No, I genuinely thought, because it was very informative as well.
I like that. I have the ending already.
Yeah.
I have the beginning and the ending, which feels nice. And I've been talking to other comics that have done an hour, and they're like, that's all. In their experience, you know the structure, and then you just sort of have to fill the time.
Yes.
And
with the sides and all this other stuff. Yeah. You'll figure that out.
Yeah. It's and I do like that it's personal. On my end, I didn't seek it out that way initially, but then I even like snuck in how I love Eminem and he's the rap god.
Yeah,
that's in there too.
Yeah, that's a big part of you.
Yeah, that is. I don't think a comedy has to be personal, but it's fun for me when it is.
Yeah.
And I think people, if you do a mix of both, if you're like, here's what my life is like, but also here are some interesting facts. I've found that if I have both of those in a set, people will sometimes try to talk to me after the show.
In a good way.
In a good way, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because when I was doing like my dick is small bits for like the first 2 years I did comedy, people might laugh, but they don't necessarily want to talk to that guy.
Yeah. They're like, this guy just keeps thinking about his dick. Yeah. There's some.
And make no mistake, that is true.
But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Like you kind of, I guess I was watching like early 90s, like HBO half hours, and I would watch the famous people, and then I would watch these people that I've never heard of.
Yeah.
And I would ask myself, why do we know this guy and not that guy? And it was always a common thing where like these non-famous people, they would just be observations. They would just be like these inconsequential things. Yeah. And then when you listen to these famous people, you would just be like, oh, now you know kind of who they are. It doesn't have to be like the way some people do it now, where it's like voyeuristic kind of, where you're like, oh my God, I was molested and this. And you're like, I won't forget you. All right, great. It's a bit too far to the other side where you're like, okay, you're telling us your trauma, but this is becoming like things that I'm not supposed to, or things that you didn't really settle within yourself that you're kind of telling me.
Yeah.
But they had that kind of balance where it's like, oh yeah, they're family, they're this, they're that. And then there was these like clean cut, like, so a lot of them were clean cut white guys with just like button ups and stuff. And you're like, hey, dating is this. And you're like, oh, anyone can kind of do that. You know what I mean? So I think that's one clear difference, which is why it's good that you put your own shit in there, because then you do like Eminem. And you do like all these things, and it helps us learn more about you. Otherwise, you just be talking about your small dick. And to be fair, there's a lot of small dick.
There's millions of us.
There's a community.
Yeah.
These guys just hang out.
Yeah.
Support each other.
We will have a meeting here tomorrow, and you're invited.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6.
As I was saying that, I'm like, do guys from Uzbekistan have giant penises? And I have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, I used to have a joke where I say I know I don't have a small penis because I've never gotten like a complaint. It's usually when you go, when the dick comes out, you're like, fuck.
I think women are very nice. I think there are guys out there with small dicks that have no idea.
Maybe, and you should stop doing that. Women, don't tell them oh shit, this shit is small, but don't give them that confidence. Let them be. Well,
you know what? Because I do have all jokes aside, folks, I have a humble penis, and what women say. Thank you very much. Yeah. What women say is, usually they go, "You're so hard," which is not. Of course, we're having sex. Of course you are. Of course I'm hard. But
you're so okay. All right.
But they have to say they have to say something.
Okay.
They can't be like you're a very talented stand-up comedian.
That would be great if you said that with sex. You just start remembering.
I just come immediately.
Yeah, I'm like, actually, oh my God, you're so funny.
Could you help me follow up with emails?
Yeah. One thing I don't like when men do, which I hear, is that like if they get a bad blowjob or something, they never kind of like say it. I remember there would be a few guys that would tell me like, yeah, the blowjob was a lot of teeth. It was painful. I'm like, did you say anything? And he was like, nah, I didn't say. I'm like, what the fuck? Now she's going to be going around doing this to unsuspecting men thinking that she's the shit.
Think of all the victims out there.
Yeah, there's bloody penis trails and shit like that. What's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with telling people what you like. Which I didn't know you had to tell people you don't like a bloody penis, like to walk around with fucking. You ever see you ever see when like when someone bites into an apple and like the ridges? That's like what that woman does to every fucking penis, which is disgusting, and she should stop. But for some reason, I don't know, men have such low self-esteem that they just don't want to correct women when it comes to that. You got to stop.
I don't know if I've ever gotten a bad blowjob. To me, that's like eating a bad piece of pizza. I'd be like, it's pizza, it's fine.
This is what I'm talking about. No, this is not true.
Okay.
Just in the same way that we're not always good at like eating, doing oral to them or whatever, but they gotta, it's the same. It goes both ways. You gotta communicate both ways. Like if I'm doing something you don't like, you gotta tell me. Don't stop having low self-esteem. That should be the key. Have enough self-esteem to correct someone with your bloody dick so you don't have one.
Oh no, it's fine. It was great. Actually, I
was
cum
great.
blood. I always cum blood.
Yeah, to the side. That's how it's like a fucking fountain. It's disgusting. No.
Cum in the center and blood on the sides.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Oh man.
That's a big gripe. A big gripe of mine. I don't know I'd be talking about this, but you don't have to edit this out either. No. More people should know this.
We're keeping it in, dude.
Yeah, more people should know this. Men should know this, and women should know this.
So I'm curious because your mom's like, you're not really from it.
Yeah.
That's your mom's thing. It's like you were, because you came over as a baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't speak Uzbek?
Russian. I speak Russian.
You do speak Russian?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's so funny. Yeah, Boris speaks Russian too. Yeah,
that's the oppressor's language.
Yeah, I had a run-in, not a run-in. That sounds like we fought each other.
Yeah, it does.
But I was having a conversation with somebody that was that works at this halal place, and because I go there a lot, I'm a routine guy. That's what the podcast
Chipotle.
is based off of.
You like Chipotle?
I
think halal. I saw you in a Chipotle. Once.
Yeah. You're invited to the post-podcast Chipotle if you have time.
Hell yeah.
As is Connor, as always. So I'm at this halal place, and so he's getting to know me because I've been there a couple times.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Where are you from?" And I tell him where I'm from. And then, because it's almost this thing, whenever someone has an accent, I feel like it's, and unless it's in context, it's rude to ask them where they're from.
I guess for white people it is.
It can be. You know what it is? I think racists have ruined it for us, because when someone has an accent, I am curious where they're from.
Yeah.
But in the past, I've felt people kind of clam up
because you're white.
And because
if I ask people where they're from, they won't do that.
Really?
Because I also look kind of,
because it seems like you're going, maybe we're from the same or similar place.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
I asked this, but because he asked me where I'm from,
then you asked him.
I was like, I'm just returning the favor.
Yeah.
And he kind of sheepishly went, Central Asia.
Okay.
And I went, where in Central Asia? And he said, Kazakhstan. And I said, oh, so you speak Russian? And his face lit up.
Yeah.
Because he was like, this guy knows something about Kazakhstan that isn't that fucking movie.
Yeah.
But even as I was saying it, I'm like, well, it's the oppressor language. But that aside, he was like, at least he knows something else.
That and you didn't do the movie, and you didn't. You actually just knew something. Some people from Uzbekistan or from Kazakhstan, whatever, they just say Russian. They don't even say because there's a. I mean, when you're in a country like that, it's such like. I mean, even now, Russia's like a terrible place to be in right now. Like. They used to have like anybody talking shit about the country or anybody talking shit about like a government official. They would be, I don't want to call them spies, but I guess they were. They wouldn't say how they feel or they wouldn't say any of these things because they think they would get in trouble. So that's why I think part of it comes here. Like whenever you would ask immigrants like a lot of questions, they start getting defensive because it comes back from that trauma from before. So sometimes it might have to do with you being white and all this other stuff. But it also has to do with going like, why does this guy want to know my information? What is he going to do with it? So that's usually not usually, that's sometimes why there's this apprehension with immigrants going like, what is this? What's going on? Is he ICE?
Yeah. Because
they go like, oh, where are your papers and shit like that. So it always starts with that questions like, oh, so what's your name? Where are you from? What are you doing? What do you, But it also can be because you're white. So.
Yeah, could be either one. I mean, that goes back to what we were talking at the beginning, where like we all come from like a different context. Like we all have our life experiences, and I didn't even consider that some immigrants to America are from authoritarian regimes where it wasn't fun to have questions asked like that.
Yeah, I mean now though the migrants coming in and stuff like that. I mean, imagine them getting stopped and being asked all these questions. It's not like they want to. They don't think they're gonna make a friend.
Yeah.
If you ask them, hey, so where are you from? They'll be like, get the fuck away from me. Like I just got here. It's a fucked up life.
I don't know if you remember this, but I asked you like I think it was either when we met or soon thereafter, because you mentioned you were from Uzbekistan. I'd never met someone from Uzbekistan before, and I said, I didn't know you were Jewish.
Yeah,
that's an important part of the story.
Okay.
So I said, would you ever like to go back? And your immediate response was like, fuck no, dude.
No.
Like, and you're a very nice person, but there was a tinge in your voice like, you fucking idiot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. See, but that's what the judgmental, but you wouldn't know. So I'm probably putting that on you where I'm like, why would you ask me that? But yeah, no, it's because there was a lot of Muslim fundamentalism once they gained independence and they put Jews, not just Jews, but they put Jews, there was Jews, Armenians, Turkish people, put them in pogroms and stuff like that. So they have a history of that. And they, at one point during independence, they just told all the Jews, they just bounce, just leave. So there's a mass emigration in that country for Jewish people. So that's why, like, would you want to go back? I'm like, no, I would never go back. First of all, it's a third world fucking country. That place blows. All right. I understand having empathy for like shit countries and all that, but not for that one. I'm not doing that. Like, why would I go back? I don't understand.
You're allowed to dislike the government of the country that kicked you out.
Yes. I think that should be allowed. I think that's pretty obvious. But no, I would never go back. Maybe if I would, I would want someone to go with me to show me what everything was. Because even if I look at a building, I wouldn't know the context. Like it would be like, oh, is this where you were born or something like that. But my family's like, you know, all that history, I think it would be too sad for them to go there. So I wouldn't want to put them through that or anything like that. And it's just like, that's not much in the fucking country. I think we take for granted how, like, you know, nuance and all this other stuff, like us having this conversation, it's very rare because in certain countries, like, you know, in Russia, this is just stuff I've heard. And there, to a certain extent, some people I've met, Russia, like, they're not even up to black people in terms of like hatred. They still hate like people with like my features and like dark hair and like, this is weird to them because they believe that, you know, the homosexuality they think is like it's like a sin. It's all this other shit. So like, I don't even know why people would want to go there, really. Like if you start, I don't know. I guess I'm just going on a tangent here.
No, I enjoyed the tangent in it. Natan, I did enjoy the tangent. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't
oh, okay. I didn't mean to.
It wasn't a tangent. It was a conversation, although you're not the first guest to be like, am I talking too long on this podcast where I'm being interviewed?
No, I just, I do think about that where I go like, should I go back and all this other stuff? And I kind of go like, first of all, I don't think I should say go back because I don't have any fucking memories of that place. I don't know. It's a bit weird.
So if people do... So you're not going to Uzbekistan.
No.
You're not going to Russia.
No.
If people do want to send you, for example, like travel recommendations, where's the best place for them to do that?
They want to send me or I send them?
This is how I'm shoehorning the plugs because we've reached the end of our time.
Yeah. Sorry. So what did you want me to do? I didn't understand. That was such a loose connection of I didn't understand.
It's a recurring bit that you didn't know about, but the listeners are familiar with.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
So yeah, because I mean, we could talk for another hour, I think, but unfortunately our time has come to a close.
Yeah.
So tell the people where they can find you.
I'm on social media. My name, Natan Badalov, Natan Badalov. That's it. You know, just follow me or don't. It doesn't really matter. My life will continue without your support.
A truer statement has never been said. So, folks, remember, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just playing Night Owls. You know I love you.